Correct. Debt validation. What is debt validation and why do so many people get this wrong? I've seen people sending out validation for late payment, validation for charge off, validation for repossession. That's not how you use debt validation. All right. So we're going to go through what is required when you send out a debt validation notice. What is a debt collector required to send you? So let's go to share screen, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to start with the validation law itself, 12 CFR 1006.34. That's the FDCPA, guys. That's the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. This law governs debt collection, right? So when you go here, right, as you can see, notice for validations of debt. So let's read A1. In general, except as provided in paragraph A2 of this section, a debt collector must provide a consumer with the validation information required by paragraph C of this section. So we're going to go to paragraph C and see what information is required. So here we are at paragraph C. So validation information. Press on to paragraph A1, which is what we were just there of this section, a debt collector must, not may, they must, they have to provide the following validation information. A debt collector communication disclosure, right? So the statement required by section 1006.18E, it tells you so you can go and look it up, right? Number two, information about the debt, except as provided in paragraph C5 of this section, right? So the debt collector's name, mailing address. Number two, the consumer's name, mailing address. Three, if the debt collector is collecting a debt related to a consumer financial product. Four, the account number. They must also tell you the name of the creditor whom the debt is currently owed, the itemization date, the amount of debt on the itemization. And as you guys can see, it's a lot of information. It's a lot. It's a lot of information that is required by a debt collector. So when you guys are sending out these notices for validation, most people don't know what they're supposed to get in return. Often you get a screenshot, you'll get a statement, you'll get like a copy of some contract. That's not what is required. It requires about 15 to 20 pieces of information, and this must be done on what is called a model form B1. So these are the things that you must know. So if a debt collector send you anything back other than what 112 CFR 1006.34C requires, that is not proper validation. Validation was not done. And if validation is not done, a debt collector cannot collect on that debt. See case law Hinkle versus Midland. A debt collector cannot use their own internal records to validate anything. They can't use their own affidavit, right? So these are some of the things that you need to know. So the next time you're sending out a validations of debt, you are sending that to a debt collector. Validation of debt goes to a debt collector, not to a creditor for late payment, for charge off, for student. It doesn't go for that. It goes to a debt collector. If it's a debt collector calling about a repossession, then that is fine. If it's a debt collector talking about a student loan, then that is fine, right? But debt collection, validation of debt goes to a debt collector. So I hope this book was helpful. I hope this recording was helpful. But I wrote a book, Forbidden Credit. It has a section on collection which breaks this down in its entirety. And that link for Forbidden Credit will be in the description below, along with other links that you can explore. You want to join my community, you want to be a part of my mentorship. Guys, I'm telling you, with knowledge and execution equals power. Information by itself is nothing if you don't act, if you don't execute on it. All right. See you on the next video. Don't forget to check the links out in the description.